I recently was doing a bit of research, of course, on dual tasking, but some of the questions that were posed were like, is there a part of the brain that is more linked to dual tasking? Like, is there a region? And I know you can't really pinpoint a certain region for certain types of activities, but typically, if you're doing a racket sport or if you're doing something where you're working with that perception, of course, the back of your brain and your vision will be very much involved and your depth perception. But the question that was posed into this research paper I read was exactly that. Is there certain networks in the brain or certain parts that are more involved in dual tasking? And I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my general perspective for that is I don't think there's a certain part. I know that we don't understand the mechanisms of dual tasking yet, right? From like a neurophysiological perspective. And there's a few theories that are out there. I think the one that I prescribe to, or I think that I agree with the most, is it's more about infrastructure changes in the brain. So it actually aids in communication between areas. So rather than it being in a specific area, it's actually kind of making the highways and the information flow happen much easier between all the different parts of our brain. There's no hard evidence for it. There's ancillary evidence for a few different theories. But for me, I think that's probably what's changing is our ability to quickly integrate information from different parts of the brain. Are we nerding out?
Yeah, I'm loving it though. It's great. I feel like I'm like listening to an episode of Huberman. This is ace.
No, it's so cool. It's one of these
learning.
things that we don't really know. What the effects are super clear. Like if you go to Sparked to the gym, you're going to notice the difference. It's detectable and it's lasting. But then the cool part is we don't totally understand how or why it's happening. It's a little bit like exercise. So weight training and cardiovascular training do different things to our brain, both beneficial, but the mechanism of why it's happening is not totally understood yet. So that's a really fascinating component. From my side is just the benefits are clear, but we don't quite know how.
Yeah.
The brain. It's a
And
mystery.
And there was literally another piece of research I read the other day, which I also found really, really interesting. And it was about balancing and dual tasking, because I do a lot of that with my clients at the gym. I get them to dual task, multiple object tracking in 3D, and then I get them to balance. And some of the research was actually showing that dual tasking was helping with their balance. I was, whoa, and balancing is amazing for the brain by itself. But now with the dual task component, and when I read that, and when I see them dual tasking, I actually go, is your balance better? And I thought it was, I don't know what you think about that, but.
No, we recommend dual tasking now for like longevity when we talk to clients who are looking for an aged population, because it's balance for sure, which dual tasking can help with. It's also showing improvements in gait.
Yes.
So walking. And you mentioned a benefit in the earlier in the show about spatial awareness and processing, which is a big component of dual tasking. As we get older, our ability to properly walk over obstacles declines. So tripping increases a lot as we get older. You don't quite measure how high that stair was. So cognitive helps with that as well. There's even a study out talking about dual tasking and lowering or potentially lowering the risk of Alzheimer's later in life. How does it work? We don't know, but there is all this kind of circumstantial evidence coming out. But no, absolutely in longevity with an aged population and the doctors that we work with, this is a key component because you're hitting kind of the three things for fall prevention.